Yo, good morning, guys. Welcome.
Good morning.
It is Friday. Thank
Ooh.
growth. It's Friday. Welcome,
was
guys.
a
Thank you for
dope
being here.
intro.
Again. Dude, wasn't that a bitchin' countdown? Like as we were doing like it kind of looked like it reminded me of kind of like an 80s thing.
Yeah,
Like
dude,
with the
it was-
music and everything and then the colors and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh dude, this is kind of a neat little 80s flashback, I think. But I think it fits well with the music and our theme over here. Get a little bit.
I love the 80s.
100%. Okay, thank you for being here, bro. Thank growth is Friday, and it's a snowy one here, dude. It is, man. My I went to the gym this morning, and we've got several inches of snow on my driveway right now. And I pulled out of my driveway, went to the gym. Coming out of the gym, I had a meeting, made it back to my house, parked outside of my house, and walked into the garage because I was going to go with the snowblower. Of course, I was on my phone for another hour, hanging out in the garage, and I turned the heat off. The doors were up, like everything. Like I'm sitting here, anyway. Then I had to take my kids to school, and then I get back, and we're going live. So I got a bunch of snow that I've got to go plow here, and it keeps coming down. But for those of you guys who don't know, if you guys are in Alaska and you need someone to come plow your driveways, Ken is the man to do that. Ken owns a snow plowing business. So good day. Good day.
Question.
What's up?
Is Miles not doing his snow plowing anymore?
Not when he's at school.
That's fair.
When he snoozes, he loses, man. I think this is great. So for those of you guys who don't know, Miles is my son. And if he's not going to wake up early enough to go plow some driveways, man, he's not going to make any money.
Ken's making that money.
Doesn't that seem fair? Doesn't that seem like one of those things where it's relevant not only for my son, but for a lot of us in a lot of aspects? Whether you got school or whether you got work or something like that, and you end up in this thing where, because I'm sure at some point my son's going to come home and be like, Dad, I want to go plow everybody's driveway. And it's like, bro, you missed out on everybody's driveways plowed because they had places to be. They had things they had to do today. You missed out, man. You snooze, you lose.
Yep.
I feel like that's so relatable on so many levels, at least for me.
Give away, eat, sell, barter, trade, whatever.
Whew. It's painfully relatable on so many different levels. Because, man, I can't tell you how many times I missed the bus going to school, and then my mom wouldn't give me a ride. She'd be like, "Well, you're gonna be late now." Like, well,
Angel says she has
I didn't wanna
shoveled
go
3
anyway.
times. Dude, we got a lot of snow. Got a lot of snow today. But enough about me. How are you guys doing? This is really awesome. This is going to be a very special episode, at least for me anyway. Hopefully those of you guys watching feel the same way. Do you guys want to take a couple seconds, just kind of introduce yourselves? Everybody watching might not know who you are or why you're here. Or why we got this big panel of lovely people on today. I'll look at who this is. Mr. Pimp Sauce himself. He had a PT test yesterday, which he killed. Awesome job, by the way, James. Go get you some ice cream this weekend. Carlin, how about you go first, my dear?
What? Well, I'm here all the time.
Well, I know. Just introduce everybody else.
Okay, I was like, do I need to introduce myself? Okay, so we've
can
got
if
our
you
whole
want.
team here, guys. We have got Allison, Miri, and Jeff, who are our appointment setters. Jeff is actually going to be working into some pretty cool positions later on, and that's a secret that I'm not going to disclose right now.
Can't wait.
James, my Jimmy Neutron, my boy genius over here. I cannot even tell you the words he speaks because I don't understand them. This guy is so smart. James is our integrator, and he is a big portion of the lifeblood that keeps our business moving in all sorts of new integrative directions. And Haley, right next to him, is our marketing genius. So all of those sweet emails that you guys are getting, this is the brains behind the work. So guys, this is my beautiful team, my beautiful people, my beautiful family right here. Jesse, if it weren't for you, my dude, we would not have as badass of a team as we have.
100%.
All of you guys.
No, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing that. It's really awesome to see just kind of how this thing has really unfolded and transpired and for everybody out there that's doing it yourself, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. It's really easy to get caught up in the process of things as opposed to like focusing on the result of things. You know what I mean? I was actually in a conversation with one of our clients that's going through our cohort right now this morning. And a lot of times we get handed the answers. It's really easy to get handed the answers to something, whether that's something that you catch in a YouTube thing. Maybe that's part of a program that you pay for. Maybe it's a conversation that you have with somebody. There's no shortage of individuals that's willing to get out there and share information and really give you guys the shortcuts. That's why this podcast exists. That's why our group exists. That's why our community exists, to give you guys literally the answers. But let me give you a really specific example on how easy it is to get caught up in the process of things. How many times have you been given the answers to something? Like, let's literally use it in a very not even a metaphor, like a literal sense, where you're looking for the answers to 5 questions. Somebody hands you the answers to those 5 questions. It's like A, B, C, D. And how many of us look at those? And I know, because not only do I have clients who have been there, but I've been there myself. So I know exactly how this feels to get handed the answers to something. But then in my mind, I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go. I understand the answer is A, but now I need to go spend the next 30 days digging through my textbook to try to figure out why it's A.
Yep.
You know, how many people have you guys, I see you guys shaking your head. You guys been there? You guys felt like that before?
I was actually thinking about this morning. It's funny. I was thinking about how the what doesn't matter as long as the only thing that really matters is knowing the why. I don't know why that was my thought this morning, but it was just funny that you just got into that, because that's what I was thinking about this morning. So
elaborate that on a little bit, because I want to kind of, if you guys are all, and please, if you guys can relate with this, like, throw it in the comments. I'd love to hear what your guys' experience is with this. But I know that this is such a perfect example as to what is holding a lot of people back. It's really getting the answers, guys, is not the problem. It's really easy to find ourselves getting in our own way. And it's not enough to know that the answer is A, and the next answer is B, and the next answer is A, and then D, and then C. But how many of us spend the next 30 days trying to figure out why that is?
Dude.
Oh,
So I'm taking a financial literacy class right now. This is a perfect example. I'm taking this financial literacy, and in order to become a financial advisor, I have to take the most insane amount of tests I have ever seen back to back forever. And it's so frustrating because I'll be sitting there and it's exactly what you said. I'm like, yeah, I know the answer is A, but I want to know why the answer is A. Even though I already know the answer is A, I guess I'm just going to waste like a good solid 30 minutes here going back through my lessons to double check to make sure I'm right on the answer being A.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to disregard and say I found all the answers on Quizlet, so that saved a lot of time. But for the first, I'm going to say first 4 tests, I would go through and I kept flunking because I knew the answer, but I would start second guessing myself because of the other answers. I was like, well, what if it's actually C? What if it's C and not A? Because A seems too obvious. If I pick A, then that's just going to be a little bit too easy.
I totally agree.
absolutely.
Miri, what's your experience with this? What I love about this is our team is also like involved in real estate. Like, you guys obviously aren't just solely doing Growth Co stuff. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, Miri. You're doing door knocking. You're a negotiating fanatic. What are some of the things that you have been through or seen other people go through with regards to, like, just getting in their own way, like not having the momentum or the traction that they want? Because they spend a lot of times on things that aren't necessarily the highest and best use of their time. And it's really easy to get in your own way, inadvertently in that way.
Yeah, let me go back first. That information is not a problem, as you said. We have all the answer in so many places, but we just don't like to take the easy route. That's my opinion. It seems like people just like to make it hard for themselves instead of just, like you said, get out of your way. I mean, just like you said, you have the answers. Why dig and figure out why it's that answer? Just take it and use it and move forward. So that's how I feel that, definitely I've been there. Just even when I'm learning, especially if I'm learning something new, it's just like it's so easy. Just learn it, use it, move on, learn something else. Don't just stuck there. And I feel it's like something that we humans do naturally. That's why we always stand in front of ourselves, like make it so hard when things can be fairly easy. So yes, I find it that we do it all the time. So trying to get over that's the hurdle. So
what are some things that you're doing to get over that?
Well, first of all, I think recognizing it. That's what you are, recognizing it and knowing that it's a problem. And I think if we know, it's like anything else, when you do know what's the problem, it's easier to get over it. But when you don't know what you don't know, then you're stuck. So just realizing that that's what you do and trying not to do it. And consciously, I mean, really being very intentional in what you're doing, learning from your mistake and said, okay, I'm not going to repeat my mistake because it didn't get me anywhere last time. So that's what I do, making notes of what stopped me and trying to avoid them.
There's
100%.
a lot of wisdom in knowing what you don't know. Wisdom and ignorance, basically, is just being aware enough to know that there's a lot of things you don't know and to be willing to learn those and unlearn. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's all about paradigm shift, too. We kind of, I feel like I'm afraid to use brainwash, but really, honestly, that's how I feel.
No, I agree.
It's totally brainwashed. It's like it's like that's how you're supposed to do. And I'm a rebel by nature. You can ask my husband. I don't listen to nothing. I question everything.
Miri, we know. In our team meetings, Miri's showing off her tattoos. She's dropping F-bombs left and right. We know how much a rebel Miri is.
No, but I'm in a rebel in a different way. I don't have to curse and have tattoo all over me.
A rebel with a cause.
So I think it's, and that's how I conduct my life. Even, I homeschool my kids because I don't want them to be a mainstream media kind of thing. I want them to think. I don't want them to even have a box. Just be wild, think and try things, fail forward, try again. And unfortunately, I have not learned that when I was a little younger, because as you can see, I'm the oldest one of the group here. So I have some experience that I can teach, I think, from my mistakes to this group. But I think we are brainwashed to do things in a certain way, and people look at you like you have 5 heads if you don't. You told them you don't want to send your kids to college? Really? What? No, I don't. I really don't. I don't want them to ruin my kids. So I think it's that brainwashed and what expect us to do in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something that we all have to kind of break. It's like chains, Mm-hmm. It's like your sanctuary when, Carlin, with your elephant, they train them by chaining their legs, even though one point they're not going to be chained. They think they are still chained because they train like that. They're stuck in their mind. So I think breaking that really opens your mind to like, wow, it's a freedom. It's like you can fly. So
I 100% agree with you. Oftentimes I think a lot of people, they really misconstrue, like even when you look at the different classes that we have here in the United States, most people think that the difference between the lower, the middle, and the upper class is money. It's not. It's not. What is it, Miri? What is it that separates all these classes if it's not money?
Again, it's where their mind is. They're stuck. They think, first of all, they think they can't do more. They convince themselves that that's where they're supposed to be and there is no way to get out, so that they're really stuck. and it's really what we are being taught, what we've been brainwashed. And I think that upper class, there is, I almost felt it was intentional, to keep a lot of people where they are. And people believe it, even if they think you're doing great stuff, they think you're crazy. People say, why are you keep doing what you're doing? I said, why not? I'm not going to stop till I succeed to where I want to get, unless it's going to kill me before that. I'm not. But
So
it's not. It doesn't come naturally, though. Sorry.
No, you're good. It sounds like what you're saying is there's a mold that we were all kind of born into, that we we stayed in for the majority of our lives. So when it comes to breaking that mold, what are some of the things that all you guys, Jeff, from your perspective, like when it comes to like breaking that mold and getting away from that line of thinking that Mary was talking about, what are some of the things that you're seeing going right and some of the things that you're seeing that people are doing that are wrong?
Well, I think going back to what Mary was explaining, that comfort, that level of comfort that everybody gets used to being in and almost trapped because we like the confines of the society that we were, put into. We weren't asking for it. We weren't being told that we had options when we were younger, and the habits that we developed along the growth of our life kind of put us into the positions that we were, not necessarily allowing us to be who we truly were meant to be. So being able to step out of that comfort zone, being able to see that, like Mary said, that paradigm shift, that ability to want more, to be able to step out of that comfort zone and actually work on yourself, work on your goals, your self-development. But I think it comes down to the ability to have that moment in your life where you need that change, where you need to hit the end of your barrier and say, I do have more to give. I have an ability to give more and change and adapt and evolve, and not just be limited to what we know as a child, not to be constructed as one person your whole life, unable to change or to succeed. I think being able to see that first, notice that, like she said, and just start. Having the ability to start something and continue to get out of that comfort zone is the first initial progress in growth. I mean, it comes down to just being able to want to start.
Dude, well said.
I think a big portion of it too is societal acceptance, because when you start doing something that most people wouldn't do, then you end up separated. So you've got this group over here, and then you're like, no, wait, but I actually want to be over here. And you don't realize a lot of the times that if you just keep walking further this way, there's a whole other group that's like, here, come be part of us. If you don't want to be part of that group, that's great. We're all doing our own thing over here, and we're happy to have you here. There's not that realization that if you just keep walking a little bit further, there's a whole group of people that are cheering you on when you're being uncomfortable, when you're doing something that is out of that mold, out of that little box that we tend to put ourselves in. I think, that system, because you don't realize it. You don't even think about it. And it goes back to what Mary was saying with the homeschooling stuff. Like, a lot of the times, you send your kids to school, and I feel like a lot of the times my kids come back, I'm like, okay, great. Now here's what I have to add on top of what you learned today.
Oh,
by the way, like, just my 2 cents.
No, I appreciate that. And Allison, we've known each other it's been a little over a year now, hasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Man, it has gone by like that. It's incredible. We've had some amazing conversations. And to go along with what Carlin was just saying, like, you got two different groups here. You've got the group that was in the mold in which we all grew up in, which includes our friends, family, neighbors, all that kind of stuff. The people that Napoleon Hill really talk about. There's one of my favorite quotes from Napoleon Hill. And if you guys don't know who Napoleon Hill is, he wrote Think and Grow Rich, amongst many other great and stellar writings. But he said, I don't remember the quote specifically, but it was basically the reason that people aren't successful is because they take and follow the advice of their friends, family, and neighbors. And that's the mold that he's talking about, that a lot of us, most of us probably grew up in. I mean, that's why there's a 99%, because most of us grew up that way. But then there's 1% who at some point in their family lineage said, and they had this thought of, hey, you know what? What if? What if I could? Allison, what's that experience been that especially over the last year that you and I have known each other? Because like Carlin was saying, you got this mold of people over here that you're with, and then you've got this new group of people. But then if you just keep going, like you find your, as Pace says it best, like your vibe attracts your tribe. You end up finding your tribe. What has that experience been like for you in terms of like getting out of that mold? And I mean, you've been around a lot of different people with a lot of different experiences and different educational, platforms and things like that. So I'd really be interested to kind of hear your experience of what that has been like for you to actually break free from that mold.
Wow. Well, to just step back a second, when you guys were talking, I thought back of how I was just growing up. I mean, I always felt different because I was the question person. As you guys know, I love asking questions because I want to know why. I want to know how it works. I want to break it down. I want to analyze it. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you can't. But it always made me feel like, everybody just wanted to follow what people were saying. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And school, I always ask questions. Why do we have to do this assignment? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't benefit me in any way. I questioned everything in my life. And even as I got older, I was like, what do I want to do with my life? I know, Carlin, you had said something about, you didn't know what you wanted to do. I was the same way. I was like, I want to do something. It's something big and different, but I don't know what it is. And it took me years. I ended up being a teacher for years because I love teaching. And I was like, well, if I can't figure out exactly what I want to do, maybe I'll teach the next generation on how to break that mold and be different. And so I used that to my advantage, actually, for a long time. And what I grew up with was very stickler. It was very, do this, don't show that, don't talk about money, don't do that, do this. So I was like, no, there's no secret. Everything is what it is. And if you say something to somebody, they're probably going through the same thing. So why not bring it up? Why not say it? What is such a big secret? And I always wondered why through the years, why is everybody so secretive about certain things? So that was me. I always felt like an outsider, and I'm left-handed too. I was like, maybe it's because I'm left-handed. But
at least you're not left-handed and live in Alaska, because that would be
that would be
really awesome.
Mind blown, right? No, but once I hit like real estate, I don't know. I just saw an ad. It was like over a year ago. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get out of this. I don't want the W-2. I got burnt out, and I love being in control of my own destiny and doing my own thing and not being like, oh, if I work hard enough, I might get that 3% raise. I might do that, which is not a lot as a teacher. But, so I met so many wonderful people. I joined another mentorship. They were okay, but it did start changing that mindset and the mold that I wanted to break out of. And then I met you. And I was like, wow, just the way you say things, the way you word things. I was like, that's my vibe right there. That's what I'm talking about. Now there's somebody.
It was the F-bombs, wasn't it? That's what you're talking about.
Yes. Well, yeah. I know that's your New Year's resolution. So, but yeah, I mean, I was like, this is my place. Everybody is saying the same things and questioning the same things that I'm questioning. And I love that. I was like, finally, I feel fit in with people that are thinking the way I think and wanting to do more in their life and create more for them and their children. As you guys know, I was pregnant through half of this. So, I'm like, these are for my kids. This is also for my generation, my next generation coming through and what I want to teach my kids. So, it was just hearing people, learning. Connection was absolutely key through my year of knowing you and knowing and learning from other people and talking to other people, being a part of it, taking action. It's one thing to sit here and watch videos and do all that. It's another to get up, start doing things that are scary because, I'm scared of everything, but I'm like, you know what? I got to do it. I have to do it. So that's what I did. I mean, I just kept doing it. Then I had my baby, and I know that, you know, we were talking through that, and it just, this all just happened at the right time. And that's the thing, is if you keep striving for it and you keep going for it, it's going to hit at the right time when it's time for you. But if you give up and you quit way before that, then you don't even know what you missed out on. Something so great. So it's only that your choice, what you decide you want to do with your life, but you have to keep going. That is the key. Consistency, talking to people, and just keep going. Keep going. So that's
Awesome.
my little thing. Yeah.
I love that. No, thank you for sharing that, Allison.
That
There
one
was
hit
something-
in the feels.
There was something you said there, and I was like, man, this is actually a great little segue as well. I want to ask Jimmy Neutron and his lovely wife, Haley. You guys have kind of been through similar circumstances. I think we all have, you know, been through different mentorships, have tried figuring out, you know, I think we all, to an extent, maybe that's just what the thing about entrepreneurs in general is. A lot of times, more often than not, especially in the beginning, we're spending a lot of our time trying to figure out 1,000 different ways to not make a light bulb. And it can be extremely frustrating, especially when we're trying to break that mold. From your guys' experience, like what is been some of the key things, not only in terms of mindset and habits, but surrounding yourself with the right people to break free of that mold?
Well, starting with real estate, I remember it was literally one day I was watching YouTube videos for a couple months, and I tell him, we're going to do this. I hand him a list. I hand him the phone, and he goes, you know, upstairs, and he's making calls every day, and he thinks he's part of a scam. He's not understanding it. I don't know what we're doing. It's just, we're doing this. This is what's happening. And slowly, you know.
So you initiated this?
Yeah, we're both understanding it. We're both getting it. And then, you know, we did decide to join another mentorship and worked really hard within that for a year. But it was just a lot of information. It was a lot of people. It was a lot. And we were trying to do every single aspect, hoping, you know, throw things at every single wall. Something is going to stick. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we definitely did things the hard way. So I think the first shift for us was the shift more so for him than I. Because I always kind of knew I wanted to do something else. I was going to, but him seeing that, and that was within real estate. That's how he came to see, okay, wow, I can do, you know, better things. We can do greater things. And then it was, you know, running around and round kind of within real estate. And it wasn't really until we found, you know, the Growth Co., him first, and then me, that we really found other things that we were really, really passionate about. And I think breaking the mold is just everything that they don't teach you in school. It's taking your talents, your skills, your passions, the things you're really good at and you don't like doing, and putting them together. Like, I'm really, really good at direct sales. Hate it. But I love marketing. I never would have thought, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of finding a lot of things within yourself you didn't know were there, and how to best utilize them for your business. And I think, you know, there was a quote I saw the other day that it said something like, everyone is a genius, they just don't know it yet. And I'm like, that is so true. That is so true. I really think everybody has their own special talents and abilities, and they should try to find them. I wish there was a school for that growing up for kids.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to think back on too, because you know, getting into business with yourself and with other people, it's not so cut and dry. So a lot of like what Allison was saying is like, keep on trucking, keep going, find the momentum and go with it. You know, I'm a great example of actually of that. After being in real estate for so long and then trying to wear, you know, all of the hats, and I decided to go back into W-2 for a short period of time. And, you know, when I first started back into the W-2, I'm like, okay, this is kind of promising. You know, the first 2 paychecks were pretty good. And then it just kind of leveled out. And I'm like, I just remember sitting there because I was polishing trucks, oil trucks at the time.
Mhm.
And I just remember sitting there one day during the day. I'm like, is this really what I'm going to put myself back into? Is this really what I'm going to do?
Mhm.
And then after a couple more weeks, I decided, you know what? It W2 is just not cut for me. It's just not going to cut it. Decided to get back into real estate, was continuing conversations with Carlin. Met with you for the first time, you and Chris.
I remember
So
that.
we
Speaking of
spoke a
Chris,
yeah.
Mr. G.
He's right there.
God.
With you guys when I was getting back into it, and that's what it was. Is I was all over the place. I was trying to do 101 things to make the next buck. Trying to figure out what I was going to do.
Can you talk more about that real quick? Just because I feel like there are so many people that are watching this and that will be watching and or listening to this later that are in the exact same position that you used to be in. And I'd love to hear a little bit more from your perspective of like, not only our conversation, but the things that you learned post our conversation that really kind of helped shed some light and clarity onto what you could do and what other people could do to kind of help pivot in their business.
So
here we go.
The post conversation, and I still remember Chris saying, "Wow, you have so much going on." I had the facial expression that Chris had during our conversation. When I left the W2 for the second time, went back into business for myself, I decided I wanted to try to start another team, get the wholesaling going again, create a wholesaling company. But I also was working on doing, being a connector, working with those connections, but also at the same time looking for JV opportunities, trying to creep up on the Lanza method there. And from there it spiraled. And for a good 3 weeks,
You're doing all the things.
I was doing nothing but
All the
Zoom
things.
and phone call, and then I'd be up till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, trying to put the systems back together from scratch again, from starting back up, and then trying to find time to make calls for leads because, again, trying to wear all hats in my own business while also trying to look for the JV opportunities, while also trying to look for the connections. When I had seen your post with your link to have an opportunity to chat with you, I was like, I got to do it. Haley's been saying it. I've seen that you and Carlin have worked together. I had no intentions when I walked into that conversation. To me, at that point in time, it was another connection. This was going to be a good connection to have, somebody that I should talk to, and this might move me closer to making that next dollar in real estate. During the conversation, and I reiterated quite a few times during that conversation, if there's anything you or Chris needed, reach out. I'm here. I'm available. This is what I'm doing. I'm consistently looking to make that connection. But you had jumped in, gave me the unsolicited advice, and we talked about that in the last podcast. And you gave me a little bit of a backstory on you and Chris and when you started doing the connections and what you learned. You gave me the advice on that, and I think it was either that day or the very next day. I took that and I ran with it. She was like, "I thought you had a bunch of Zooms lined up for today," and I'm like, "Not today.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it." I cut 90% of what I was doing.
But you know what's funny is you've heard that advice
from other people
so many other times. And it's funny, we were both very against that, and I wasn't even involved in the conversation, but he told me, that's what he was doing. And I'm like, okay. And just went on to talk about your conversation. I forget the details, but something I was seeing within him was like, wow, he really did talk to somebody who's really, kind of is making a point with something that we've heard so many times before, but something within him and that conversation clicked. I wasn't there for it, but I didn't fight it. And usually I do, because I had thought that the same thing. Let's just keep running around in circles. But after a year and a half and,
I cut 90% of it. that very next day. And then it was
Wow.
2 weeks later, I had another conversation with Carlin out of the blue. She's like, she asked me where I was with my business. And I basically said, to be honest, still kind of trying to figure it out, even though I cut a bunch of it. And, the conversation went from there. The three of us got on the call, and, here I am today. After I cut 90%, I stayed in that lane and focused. I had no intentions on being an integrator and doing integration. I didn't think that I was skilled enough to actually do that. And it was just a pastime and a hobby of mine throughout my whole life, just messing with systems. And I love a lot computer and computer science in general. So that's where it put me now.
So let me ask you, James, what has changed about your perspective on going through this process? Like, you were doing something that you didn't really care to do, but you thought that was the way that you had to do it. That was the way you'd be successful in real estate. I really don't care to go and make phone calls. I'd rather be doing something that's kind of a hobby for me and making money doing it, but this is how I have to be successful. So from those two different experiences, from what you were doing to what you're doing now, what advice would you have for somebody who's maybe doing something that's not the highest and best use of their time, but in their head, it's like, man, this is what I got to do to make money. This is how I got to get traction going on in my business.
And that's exactly what it is. This is what I have to do to make money. The whole point that you're in a W-2 is to chase that dollar. You're there for the paycheck at the end of the week. When you're working for yourself, you're going into business for yourself, or you're going into business with other people. You can't really chase that next dollar. You can't chase the paycheck next week. You have to chase the success. Chase, where are you guys going? What are you guys doing? What's this going to look like in 10 years? That's what you want to chase. You don't want to chase the paycheck.
You have to love what you're doing, though, too, because if you hate what you're doing, the reward has to be sky high, or it's just not worth going after. But if you love what you're doing, you can do it all day long. So that's another thing I've noticed with, entrepreneurship even too. Aside from
Haley, I want to pick on you for a second, if that's okay, in a good way. Yeah. I would love to get your perspective on this whole thing, because when we started building this, and I do the same thing in my real estate business as well, you bring people in that just love what it is that they're doing, and it's not a chore, and it's something that they are really good at. And from your perspective, like, you and James have this experience of trying to just hustle and bustle and try to figure out how to make it work, and it's not even doing something that I want to be doing, but I got to do it.
We fell into the Growth Co. and we love it, and it's funny. I love that.
Well, thank you. That's not what I was.
Where were we going with that then? I don't know where we were going.
You brought it up. How does that? I want to hear your perspective specifically, because you were even helping out, doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, unbeknownst to us for a period of time, and you being like, I want to hear your perspective on some of the things that you saw standing outside of the Growth Co. and how a lot of other programs, because we're talking about the mold, not only the mold in which we grew up with, but when you do look at a lot of other programs, from your perspective, before you even came in, like, how did the Growth Co. not fit the mold of what other people are offering? And then what is your perspective after you've come in as well?
Well, I saw, how the way you guys all work together before I really started learning about the Growth Co. And that was the first thing I kind of noticed. I was like, wow, this team works so well together. And then the more I started learning about the Growth Co. and kind of the business model of it, I was like, they bring a massive amount of value in even just their Facebook group alone, with, all of the lives and podcasts and book club. I'm like, you guys are really, there to help people within real estate in areas where most programs don't help out. And then I guess after kind of joining, I started to learn a bit more about how, you know, that void kind of was filled, where you guys, you know, kind of essentially filled that gap in real estate. It's not, you know, just for newbies and it's not for mastermind, but there's this big void of, you know, people within real estate that have all this knowledge and that are going round and round and round, and they don't know what to do with it. But because, you know, they have these, you know, preconceived notions that we were talking about earlier with the way they learn and how you learn, their mind is just on one track, like must learn more, do more, when it's really, you really need to do the opposite, almost counterintuitive of what you think you should be doing. Slow it down to start speeding it up. So yeah, that's kind of what I noticed about the Growth Co. Before and then after. And I was like, I love this. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Jeff, what is your perspective? Because I know you've had a lot of experience. You're doing a lot of really incredible things. So, and you're going through the cohort right now as well. So you have a very unique seat.
Absolutely. I actually love my
nobody
position.
else does. I'd be curious to learn your perspective on this. Like, where does the Growth Co. Not fit the mold from your perspective? Like, where do we do things differently? Where do we stand out? And maybe that's good and bad. I'd love to hear your perspective though.
I think it's a fully good thing, and it's more of a shorter list of how do we not break the mold than how do we break the mold, because in every dynamic, in every position that we're allowed to exceed and do better within our company and within ourselves, we're breaking it. You know, we're working together more efficiently as a team. We not only allow ourselves to focus on what each of us are passionate and good about, we don't necessarily have a structure like a W-2 or a normal lifestyle structure that people are used to. We don't have a boss. We don't have employees. We have our positions. We have our roles. We are all like-minded, and we all are working together to produce a community and a support within our community that helps investors, like Haley said, that are struggling, that are in that monotonous rat race of what should they work on now, how much focus they need to put on each task, that clarity that they're trying to find, that direct path to where they want to go. Mm-hmm. And nobody right now within that dynamic of real estate is putting that out there. We're hitting so many key points on helping not only investors better their business and better themselves, but better others that they work with and align themselves with. Essentially creating a system of never-ending support within our community and within the people that we help. And that's just exponentially larger going through the cohort, because not only do we hit key points on how to better benefit those tasks and goals within our community, but within ourselves as well. So not only is our cohort allowing ourselves to structure our business, our goals, our time management, focus our mindset and our clarity, but when you come out of that cohort with all of that support and that structure, you just feel dedicated and focused with intent on what you're managing your time on. You're getting out of that position of being confused and lost and having no direction, and being more focused with where you want to spend your time.
Dude, I 100% agree, man. I mean, my opinions may be a little biased, but I remember the first mentorship that I ever paid for was $23,000.
Oh.
And I was like, when they told me that, I was like, no, you gotta be, you mean like 2,300? And they're like, no, 23 grand. And that was my first introduction to real estate. And I was like, well, gosh, I guess if it makes me another $100,000 this year, it's probably worth it, right? So I went and maxed out 2 credit cards to do it. Mm-hmm. I was active duty military at the time. For those of you guys who don't know, people in the military don't exactly make a lot of money. So as soon as I paid for it, bro, it was basically just a bunch of recorded videos. Mm-hmm. And there was no support. There was no community. There was nobody to sit there and help me put together a blueprint, put together a path to help me get from A to Z. It was basically, hey, here's what you paid for. Go figure it out. And it's not only that first mentorship. I wouldn't even call it a mentorship. Actually, Miri knows what I'm talking about. But it wasn't just that one. Like, I see so many like copy and paste programs out there that are like, man, if you guys want to make money, buy this, and then it's just like a bunch of recorded shit with no support. There's no community. There's no nothing. So from your experience, like not only with you being here on this team, but actually going through the cohort as well, what is different about what it is that we're doing?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
from my perspective, again, my perspective is biased. I've shared a little bit about the program with everybody else. In my opinion, the way that we've created it, and I created it from the perspective of, this is what I would want if I was in my shoes 3.5 years ago. This is what I would need. And so from my perspective, it is a kind of a fail-proof environment. The only way that you don't succeed is if you're just not doing it. But honestly, I want you to answer honestly, Jeff. The good, the bad, whatever. Because we can, whatever feedback you have, we can pivot. But I honestly want your feedback going through this. What is working? What makes this thing stand out? If there's anybody that's watching that's like, man, you know what? I'm already in this other program, or I don't need another program, or whatever. But they don't have the traction or the momentum that they're looking for. Why would this be any different? Why should they even consider maybe jumping on a phone call with us?
I would say hands down the support, because I am kind of a model of from beginning to end. I started as a real estate investor, lost and unsure of where I was going, trying to wear all the hats that James was wearing and talking about, trying to be a one-man team. And then I did find a mentorship that I tried to go through and I thought was going to be something that catapulted me to my next level. And it was just, like you said, lacking thereof on the support, on the outreach, on the ability to help the investor personally and try to solve their problem. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a handheld thing, but like you said, people that are just starting out in real estate investing need a blueprint. They need that path, that map of success, and it's tailored to each specific person. So the beauty about our cohort and the ability to help the people in our cohort is that it is one-on-one. It is live. We do host live videos. We are direct to the client. We do help support them in any way that they need, whether it be on our live videos or after hours, setting up phone calls, messaging them, getting a hold of them to help them when they need it. Because just because you're going through our 8-week cohort doesn't mean that you're not working on deals while you're going through that. Doesn't mean that you're trying to find your next lead. Doesn't mean you're trying to find your next PML. So we don't want you feeling like you're limited to doing any of your deals and not having that help and support. Whereas in my last mentorship, there was none of that. Like you said, it was videos, it was emails that you had to send out to somebody that you were hoping to get a hold of to get help with a question that you needed that day. We don't have that. We have that structure, that outreach, and that support that you have basically 24/7. You shoot us a message, you shoot us a call. If I need help from you or Carlin or anybody that I'm going through within the cohort, I have that outreach, that support, and that accountability. I mean, being able to have an accountability team within our cohort, that way, if I need to ping pong off of them for like-minded ideas, is super powerful. Not only within 8 weeks, but we're also setting ourselves up for a long-time community investment. Not only are we benefiting ourselves now, but it is a long-term investment for life. Being able to support each other, being able to reach out to each other. You're not just a business coach. Carlin's not just a business coach. You guys are trying to touch us on another level, a friendship level, a family level. That way we feel like we can come to you with our helps and our needs. Not that we're just another person that paid and, oh, sweet. All right, you finished the cohort. You're done. I don't need to hear from you anymore. I love that about our community and about our cohort, because you're not left feeling like you're alone at the end of it or even during it. Throughout the entire time, there's systems and checks and balances throughout each of our weeks to make sure that we ourselves are holding ourselves accountable. Like you said, Jesse, you have to put in the work. You have to start. If you're investing in yourself, if you're spending money on a mentorship, you're not going to get anywhere if you pay and then just don't show up. You have to show up for yourself. I believe that being your biggest cheerleader is your biggest asset. Because if you're not telling yourself that you're going to succeed and you're not pushing yourself to succeed daily, then you're not going to get anywhere. And that mentorship is just going to be another mentorship that you paid for and didn't succeed in. But within our mentorship and within our cohort, we strive for success. We want to see you succeed. And not only just within our 8 weeks, but afterwards. And I love that. 100%. Nobody's putting that out there.
And if I may, I'd love to put a spotlight on this, by the way.
Please.
The fact that Jeff is able to come in here and to be able to say what he's saying. And the reason I want to put the spotlight on that is just to give, anybody watching either now or in the future, whether you're new, whether you're seasoned to either the investor life or the entrepreneurial lifestyle, what is going on right now. And I did a podcast yesterday, and it's funny because now it's stuck in my head that we say no pun intended, but the Growth Co is growing. So it's a pun that I'm going with now moving forward forever. But the reason I'm spotlighting it is because looking at it from the inside, I can only imagine looking at it from the outside that you have Jeff, who, when I first started with everything with the Growth Co, was a person that was in the group, the Growth Co Facebook group. So he was seeing the podcast, he was seeing any of the lives that were going on, he was seeing some of the content going out, to transitioning into becoming part of a team, and then actually started working closely with us. We were getting on more calls. To from there is now actually going through the cohort. He's going through the exact same thing that we're trying to give to other people, proudly doing both.
Oh,
So
without a
that
doubt.
doesn't say anything. I don't know what else can.
Without a doubt. And it's that level of support and motivation that we're putting out there that brought me to this community. I mean, I saw Jesse and Carlin's posts in July and noticed right off the bat that what you guys were putting out, the content, the motivation, the support, the outreach was just beyond compared to anybody else's content that I had seen previously. And trying to look for something like that, trying to find a like-minded group of people that were bent on not only helping people, but helping themselves grow personally and professionally. That's what drew me in. And to be able to manifest seeing those posts, watching those Zooms, taking in that information, and then a month later being able to be approached about joining the team and trying to help bring more of that to this community. I mean, it's completely what I'm passionate about. And I love so much to be able to help others and not only reflect what you guys have taught me and everybody else within our team, but put it back out there to our community as well. Almost a continuing pay it forward within our motivation and our outreach to help real estate investors benefit themselves. I mean, it's been phenomenal. And then to be able to be told, hey, you know what? We want you on the team, and now we want you going through the cohort. Let's get you in there. I mean, next level stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm literally manifesting my life as we speak, and you guys are all here to witness it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
actually
gosh.
read something the other day that said manifestations happen faster when you're doing it together. And I'm was thinking, that's kind of what we're doing here, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
that
it just made me
positive
think
growth
of the growth
and that
when I read
support.
that.
When you have that rippling effect of positive growth and support that are just boundless through our team and then expelling out tenfold throughout our community, there's no way you can't succeed, because there's so much help, there's so much outreach that it's like you said, it's foolproof, Jesse, because the only issue from you quitting or failing is stopping. And if you don't stop, you can't fail or lose.
Dang. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I know we're coming up.
Thank you, man.
If you guys got any questions in the comments for any of these guys on anything, please shoot them in here. Would love to take a couple minutes and just answer any questions that you guys have. But while you guys are doing that, dude, is it just me? Like, I feel so much just energy. Like there is a frequency that I feel right now that is just, it's insane, dude. It's so hard to describe, man. But that's why it's so important to make sure that you're around the right people, man, because not only does it expedite your results and you gain a lot of clarity into what it is you're trying to do, but when you come together with a common goal and purpose, and it's forged in the right direction with the right attitude, and it's nothing but abundant and servitude, dude, it's crazy how fast things happen, man. I feel that right now as I'm on with you guys, and I love you guys. Thank you for
It's
sharing
electric. I feel it too, man.
Yep.
You guys have a special way of making me try not to cry.
I know.
Hold them in, Carlin. Hold them in.
I've been watching you over there.
I know.
I'm holding it back, but this is the second time this week, guys. I can't handle this.
It's been a good week.
It's been a good week.
I mean, happy tears. Happy tears.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Was there anything else you guys would like to share before we hop out of here, or anything you think anybody should know?
I would just want to say and like to reiterate that if anybody is feeling like they want any type of information about the cohort, please feel free to reach out to me. I could put my perspective into play and give you any information that you need. Our next cohort's starting in January on the 10th, and I'd love to get anybody that is struggling with anything that we talked about today in on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Well, thank you guys
Absolutely.
for being here. I hope you guys have an
Thank
awesome
you all.
rest of your weekend. And like Jeff said, guys, we're here just to serve, man. If this isn't a good fit for you, dude, we're just glad. No harm, no foul. Like, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to jump in here and hang out with us in the middle of a Friday afternoon. So it truly
Always
means a lot.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
for being part of our cohort. Thank you for being part of our family. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group. Appreciate you guys. And I love you guys specifically. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being part of my journey and being in my life. My life is 100% better because each one of you guys are in it. And Allison, like you said, like we all have our own unique things that we bring to the table. One of my favorite quotes is from Kurt Cobain. And he said, wanting to be somebody else is a waste of the person you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy, especially in this world of entrepreneurship, to look at what other people are doing, to look at Grant Cardone, to look at Warren Buffett, to look at Ed Mylett, to look at all these guys, Bradley, and think, man, you know what? It'd be if I could trade places with those guys, man, this would be awesome. If I knew what they knew, it'd be so awesome. If I could blah, 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 blah. But you know what? There's something so special that can't be replicated about how each one of you and who each one of you are. There's only one Jeff McGrew.
That's right.
Only one Carlin. One James, one Haley, one Allison, one Mary. And there will only ever be one of you guys.
And one Jesse.
And one Jesse. There's only one Jesse.
Not you. Don't forget yourself. We're all important, yourself included.
Yes.
But it's awesome because none of that stuff can be replicated. Nobody can think the way that you guys do. Nobody can communicate the way that you guys do. And it's just neat when we can have everybody come on at once and share perspectives and experiences in a different way, because it's going to, each one of us is going to have a different way of feeling about things, and it's going to hit home with somebody else very differently than any one of us could. And so again, it's the power of community. I don't remember when you guys mentioned the word brainwash. Mary, I think it was you.
Mary.
Yeah, we all kind of grew up brainwashing, but
I'm like, I agree.
in a way though, like look how fast not only like from having a team of people like this, but even going through a cohort together that is very intentional. There is a very clear and definitive goal and action and process to it. And man, it is just the neatest thing to see how fast things transform, because in a way you kind of have to brainwash yourself out of a lot of the way that we were raised to think and to believe. So it's neat, man. It is awesome. It is cool just to be here doing something that you're passionate about, that you love doing, right, James? No more hammering calls and calling 5,000 prospect lists and all that kind of fun stuff.
Now I'm just watching videos and researching all day long and just making something happen that needs to happen.
I was thinking the other day, I'm like, I just get to be funny and inspiring all day and just compliment people like on Instagram and stuff. I'm like, I mean, I do more than that, but that's a good portion of my day. I love it. And create cool things.
My job is to be nice and creative.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. I think also, I think Jesse says it best when he keeps talking about who you surround yourself with. So important to surround yourself with people that do bring you up and that encourage you to go to that next level. I mean, for me personally, there are a lot of people around me that don't encourage, and it's maybe they don't know, maybe they don't understand, maybe they just don't have the right mindset. I don't know, but if it's you too, if just taking yourself out and understanding that it's your dream, it's your goal, and only you can accomplish it. So
Mhm.
it's about you. Don't listen to anybody else that's bringing you down. You have to go above that, and then surround yourself with people like I love who I'm working with. I love all of you guys, and you know it says something. You know, it brings you to a different mindset. Mindset is so key in getting to that next level and getting to where you want to be in life. So be careful who you surround yourself with, for sure.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Great way to end it.
Couldn't agree
Well, thank
more.
you, Allison. Thank you, guys. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.
You
If there's
too.
anything we can do for you, please let us know.
All
Absolutely.
right. Thank
Have a
you.
great weekend.